Everyone dreams about living an uncommon life, but how we define that dream is very different for each of us. And for most, it's a lifelong pursuit. Welcome to the Uncommon Life Project podcast. We're going to introduce you to people who are living that life or enjoying the journey to get there. We're going to also give you some tools, tricks, and tips for starting or accelerating your own efforts to live an uncommon life, a life worth celebrating and savoring. Please welcome your hosts, Brian Dewhurst and Philip Ramsey.
Hello, and welcome everybody to another episode of the Uncommon Life Project. I am your host, Philip Ramsey.
And I am Brian Dewhurst.
Super excited to be in another episode with you. Thank you for tuning in. We got a great guest for you, and I really think that this is going to be super valuable. Given the times that we just came through, the old COVID-19, the coronavirus, and what industries out there are thriving, this is one of them. So let's get Adrian, let's get his bio out. Let's just get him on the show. Cannot wait.
Yeah,
Brian
so
Dewhurst.
We have the one and only Adrian Brambila with us today, and his bio goes a little something like this. I'm going to freeform this one today. Basically, Adrian grew up in central Iowa and started off, in college, and then he went on to be a professional dancer with T-Pain. Then got into the call center world and hated his life. He then got into internet marketing and has not looked back. Adrian is the owner of multiple companies and online brands. He lives in Hawaii with his wife and family, and we can't wait to hear the rest and have you fill in the rest of your story. Welcome to the show, Adrian.
Hey, thank you for having me. This is my very first podcast that I can attribute the relationships to a quirky game called Spike Ball.
Yes. And a surprising fact, this is not our second person that is on the show because of the Spike Ball. So the last one was amazing. So we're expecting a lot out of you, brother.
All right, big shoes to fill. Yeah, repping that Spike Ball. But no, yeah, when I started getting into the world of internet marketing, it was after dance. I created my first YouTube channel. I didn't know it at the time, but when I was posting these videos online, it would eventually turn into my first online e-commerce store where I was teaching people how to dance and also selling dance apparel. And that was 10 years ago. So Jeez. 10 years of doing internet marketing, from starting a little side hustle when I was basically at a call center making 27 grand a year. And then, making your first $100, and then $1,000. And then what's crazy still blows my mind, especially right now, because I feel very fortunate and grateful to say this is right now, a lot of people are losing jobs. A lot of people, their main source of income comes from where they work. And I have dozens of income streams and brands. And right now, because people are home, they're buying stuff online. And so I have multiple brands. I'm spending, thousands of dollars a day in ads. And my businesses are like all-time highs and records during this period, which is insane. It makes me go back to like a book I read when I was 20 called The 4-Hour Work Week, that first put this idea in my head that you could make a living from the internet. And now I feel like I could be in that book.
Yeah, you basically just summed up the whole podcast. So that was it, everyone. This is value that so let's try to unpack this, because I feel like so many people are sitting there right now thinking I want a side hustle. I want to do something. What's the best way to make money? And Brian and we would say to those people, stop trying to get the silver bullet. Start figuring out what you're passionate about, instead of thinking well, how did they make money? Or how did they make money? The point of all this is, no, make money the way that God has uniquely gifted you. And so I want to draw back and really talk about, wait a second, you started dancing, and I love the story. I know more than most, but you were not a dancer at the time. And so you started thinking hey, I want to be a better dancer. How do I start unlocking, one, my passion, because I've always wanted to be a better dancer, and two, how do I make money with this passion? And you inlined both of those. And not only that, have started a trajectory that is second to none, and you're passionate about it, which is so powerful. So where were you when you were one, I've always wanted to be a better dancer? And how did you correlate wait, maybe I can get paid for this?
Yeah. When I went in Madison, Wisconsin, there was this breakdance battle. It was the very first one. I think I was 18 years old. I had never really danced before actually. And so when I went there was dudes spinning on their heads and backflips and like people doing body waves, they looked like they didn't have bones. And like that to me was like,
Brian, right? That's where you met Brian Dewhurst.
Where I met Brian. He was like so many head spins.
Yes.
Like those people, like I was like, I didn't know any of this stuff was possible. And like, that just blew my mind. So after that, this was my freshman year in college, and I was already tinkering around with trying to spend my time not drinking and trying to find things to do. So I tried guitar and all kinds of weird hobbies and clubs. And the reason why I wanted was we even looking for things not to do besides drinks, because my parents, this is the biggest privilege and advantage I've had, especially my family story. My dad was an immigrant from Mexico and grew up in poverty. He saved, and his biggest goal in life was to get me through college and pay for it. And that's what he did. So my freshman year, when I was partying and drinking, when I got back that first break semester and my dad asked me how college is, I felt really guilty, like almost basically lying, be like, oh, I'm taking it seriously and stuff. So then when that second semester was like, it's kind of messed up what I'm doing. I feel like actually a lot of kids do this and they just don't realize like how severe it is. Yeah. But that second semester, I was looking for stuff to do. And dance, I saw that battle, and then I got back and I was going on YouTube. I was looking up dance tutorials, and that's what I did. Like my friends knew me like as the guy who, when they would go to the gym, they would see me in the gym, basically in this little square room with a mirror, like dancing and learning how to dance. And then dancing from 18, something definitely, I think I always refer to as like, this is a little God's miracle. This thing changed my life. Is after 2 years of dancing, T-Pain had an open call audition to send a dance video to anyone in the world. T-Pain.
I mean, I called him yesterday, and T-Pain and I are tight.
He's on the show. Totally, yeah, he's coming up show next, right? He had this open call audition. I submitted a video, and I made it to the live audition in Florida, and that to me was already a success. And then he was supposed to take one dancer, he ended up taking 10. So like I can say that experience changed my life because I got submersed into a world I never even knew existed. T-Pain's actually quite the entrepreneur. He inspired me, I think, to be like an entrepreneur today, because there was a moment when we were on tour where we were performing at B96 Summer Bash in Chicago, and he released a song right in front of our eyes, and then a matter of 10 minutes later had 1 million downloads. So I watched him make $1 million in like 10 minutes. And to me, I was like, okay, dancing is cool, but I got to learn how to do that.
No, that's a really good point, because I think where those other 10 dancers were, or the backup dancers, like that was the pinnacle of their career. Like they have made it, and this is the career for them. And you were like, no, this scratched an itch of my passion, but there's more to this story, right? Like there's more that I can do, and there's more I can give and serve others in a way. So love the story. Keep going. Great.
Yeah. So when tour ended, it was my senior year in college, second semester. And I was in Iowa still. And if I wanted to be a professional dancer, I would have basically had to quit college and moved and go to LA. That's at least what everyone told me. But LA scared me. Dance was actually really fun. It was a hobby. It was passionate. Being a professional dancer, it sounds really awesome, but you're really dancing like 5% of the time. And 95% of the time, you're in I guess I shouldn't make assumption across every artist, but you're in a treacherous environment, especially if you're someone like me who started dancing to not drink alcohol. It's like you have to have really strong moral code and ethics, because like if you want to drink and party at 9 a.m. every day and do whatever, like you can't.
You could, yeah.
You could. So like when I got done with tour, I did not want to go to LA. I did not want to be a professional dancer, but I love dancing still. And so I mean, Dubuque's not the most happening place to be a pro dancer.
Dubuque, Iowa is not the hub of hip hop and
no, I tried it, man. So YouTube was it. I started creating dance tutorials online and posting dance videos. I would dance to trendy songs, teach people how to arm wave. And the best way to put it, how it went, my super excited energy and I thinking like I was a hotshot because I didn't for T-Pain, it flopped miserably. I thought I was going to graduate and already have some 6-figure business and like just be traveling the world. Like, heck no, man. First 6 months, I think I had like 10 subscribers. And the only person that watched was my mom out of those 10.
Shout out to your mom though.
Shout out.
Super fan.
Super fan still to this day. And then I had
what do you
to get a
think
job.
that was?
Yeah.
What do you think that was? Just not enough history or what was that?
I think I had no idea what I was doing. I mean, YouTube, creating a business on Instagram, Facebook, all these things, they're easy to access for us. So it seems like anyone can do it.
Mm-hmm.
But there is real strategy. There are real tactics, and there's a real learning curve if you want to take it from I'm someone who's posts or consumes YouTube to be a content creator on YouTube. And that's different from being and monetizing and actually having a business on YouTube. So all these things, I don't know. I'm just passionate. I just want to post videos and I have this naive expectation that I keep posting, people will show up. But that frustration, the quality questions you ask in terms, quality of your life you have. So asking the questions like how to get people besides my mom to watch my YouTube videos. I love my mom, but I got to get other people. So like that leads you to a path of exploration of how does ranking on a search engine for YouTube work? How do you grow a following? And then after a year and a half, and after 6 months, this is where I got my job at the call center because I had to pay bills and I was graduated. But I was working on my YouTube business. And now after a year and a half, I had, I think, probably around between 10 to 20,000 followers. But I still wasn't making any money. And so that was very frustrating. But then the question I asked was like, how do I monetize this? And actually, my subscriber gave me the idea. One of my subscribers, they said, Adrian, I really love your tutorials, but can you make something that's more like, in depth? I like you're teaching all these little moves, but I want something more in depth. I was like, okay, I'll try it. So I created my very first own digital products, 4 different 60-minute videos at $25 a pop. And then when I launched that and I posted, and I already had 20,000 followers, a few emails, I made $1,000 in that month when I launched it. Yeah. And so that to me was like a massive moment.
For sure.
Absolutely. Come on, Brian. I feel like I'm monopolizing this. So I can't. I have so many questions. By the way.
Think the thing that I've learned from our short time together, Adrian, is that you just don't quit. And I think that I heard this Japanese proverb once. I don't know if this is true or not, but some mentor of mine told me this. And he said the Japanese are committed to a business for 7 years and they will reinvest profits for 7 years before they take a dime out of that business.
Wow.
And I don't think it took you that long, but you have that tenacity to like see things through. And I think a lot of us, we dip one toe in the water and we want all the reward. And it just doesn't work that way, and you experience that. And so I think that's, for me, a big part of your story. So you're in this call center, you've kind of like come back to reality. I got to have cash, and you're messing around online. And I wouldn't say messing around because you're very focused. You're building, 20,000 subscribers, followers is a lot. Walk our listener through kind of that ramp to where you are now of like really figuring these platforms out and really driving the content that people want. If you can just kind of keep going on that, because I think that's huge for most people is they just quit, and you didn't quit.
Yeah, definitely. What's funny is that month, so after a year and a half of doing this and not making money, I thought I was supposed to make money, but I never bothered to ask, how do I make money? And so that subscriber told me the answer. A lot of people are very passionate. I get probably 500 messages a day across my social media platforms. I'm actually blown up on TikTok recently, gone viral a few times. So like these messages are flooding in, and everyone has so passionate, but they don't. And people should use that passion. But a fundamental question when you create a business, people forget to ask, how do you make money? I didn't ask that question in my first business, so it took me a year and a half. I think if I would have tried to explore that, I would have probably been able to monetize in the first month because I would have an offer in place. Now, even if you know the answer, the strategy I didn't know I was doing it right, but creating value online through content is a sweat equity way where that doesn't require a lot of capital to build a brand and business. And that's what I was doing. So I got lucky in guessing that strategy at the beginning. But after I made that first $1,000, and again, working at the call center, $1,000 is still a lot of money to me today. But back then, it was like a massive amount. So the next question I asked was like, how do I do this full time? And that led me on the exploration, I think, where I learned what I consider a modern day superpower today, which is learning how to sell online through paid ads. Because in college and before, people always would tell me that if you know how to sell, you'll always have a job. But I think today, if you know how to sell online, you'll never need a job because it's that much of a superpower. Where today, I'm going to spend between $1,000 and $2,000 in ads across Facebook, Google, and YouTube, and Instagram. And these ads are selling while I'm sleeping, while I'm on this podcast right now, across different niches. Again, I'm not going to lose $1,000 to $2,000 because both these campaigns have scaled up over the last a few years. So there's programmatic elements that say like, if a sale doesn't come in by the time I spend this much, that ad goes off. If it is bringing leads at a more efficient cost, then I'm going to ramp up the budget. So I'm leveraging this automation technology, which is so freaky and a superpower because here I am speaking with you guys. So that exists. The 4-Hour Workweek, that book planted the idea in my head that it's possible. And then when I got that first $1,000 through basically creating organic content and building a following, trying to scale, which in other words is trying to run an ad. Someone basically searches for my dance business, someone would go on YouTube or Google, say, how do I dance the robot? So I was running an ad on that keyword or search phrase. This person has no idea who I am, but they see my ad, they click on my ad, they read my page, they learn a little about me, they like that I'm goofy, and they say, I would like this product, here's $25. So I was trying to do that. And it took me 2 years.
I absolutely love that it's the robot and the dance thing, because I think there's some people that are listening to this is like, man, I can't do, but fill in the blank. But the fact that you're dancing to a robot and making it work is so powerful. It's a proof of concept, right? And that's what you've proven. And so what I'm hearing from you, and this is why I wanted to get you on the show, is one, it takes passion. Then it takes a strategic way, and it takes practice. Like you never would have got to where you are today without practicing. And in that small little room, and all your friends are walking by watching you practice dancing. Then it's trial and error, right? Like it's benefits and risks. Which one is smart? Which one is not? And you're doing this constantly with every little avenue of this whole path that you've talked about. All three of those, by the way. And so it's great to me to not only, you don't have to be perfect, but the cool thing is, and the cheat code of life, Brian and I always say this on the show, is mentorship, right? Getting with somebody who's already screwed up so they can speed you through this process. And now you take other people through this as fast as they humanly possibly can and get them to a place where they can be sitting where you are on a podcast or sleeping and making money. Something really cool, and it's scaling my mind, and I think Brian as well, is just automating or downloading the stuff in your head so people can consume it without you talking about it. It's already done. The hard work is hard, for the record. But once it's done, people can consume it. Tell me how that process was for you. And it seems like it was more natural. For me, that is not natural. I don't know if that is something I'm supposed to admit, but it's just not natural. Like every time I think I'm supposed to sell something, I'm supposed to be some face-to-face, honestly. So
that's no, I mean, it's crazy. Like a lot of people make decisions online and big decisions, buying decisions. I think we all do. So I think some things can't be sold completely online, but you can drive interest and have someone say, I'm interested in working with you guys, but I need to talk to you guys first. But the online, I think that's definitely a massive opportunity for every single business right now, especially during COVID. Like businesses that like knew they probably should have done something online and never did. Like they're the ones that are going to hurt the most or not be around anymore. And the companies that innovate and And even if they're a brick and mortar store, but innovate in some way to be online, that's where the opportunity is. That's why I feel so fortunate that I knew about this. You mentioned something about mentorship. I do want to touch on that before I answer your question. Yeah. And so a couple years later, I had left the call center and I was working at a marketing agency in Iowa. And I was able to grow my dance business. And I worked on my second brand, which is like now selling dance products like sweatpants and hoodies and stuff. And that, I think my total income together at that point, a couple years later, was like around $3,000, $4,000 a month. And
can I just speak to that? Is that over the advertising costs that you were paying?
Yeah, that's I'm talking profit. Okay. So I was probably selling my cost was probably or my total gross was probably around like 5,000 or 6,000 minus my cost. I usually talk profit because today on my TikTok and all my content I post a dashboard. So like that's one of the first questions people ask, like, what's your profit though? What's your profit though? Because there are some snaky people out there who will like post their gross numbers and really they actually didn't make a dime. But yeah, great question. So a couple of years after that, I was seeing ads of this guy online who actually was in Cedar Rapids, and I was in Cedar Rapids. And his ads, we were actually like quasi friends, and he had an online business, and it looked by his like persona and his ads that he was crushing it, like he had $1 million company, but no one knew about it. And I thought I was so skeptical, and so I was like, I want to meet this guy. After I met him and he showed me his stuff, and I was like, in the most professional way, I was so curious, like, could this guy really be doing that numbers? Cause I was like, I've been working on my YouTube dance business and I could not get past, 4,000 a month. And like, to scale, I just could not do it. And I didn't know what I was doing wrong. I thought, am I at the max? I rank everywhere, number one for robot. I think the niches are so tiny. So I met this guy and he actually showed me, like, even though he wasn't necessarily a mentor, he was someone that was doing it. And he put the belief in me, like, holy crap, this guy, my age, he has a 7-figure e-commerce company and he's doing it all by himself, plus, virtual assistants. And like, he's the first person I've met that could be in the 4-Hour Workweek book. And that guy actually is now a best friend of mine. I'm marrying him and his wife this year, actually. Wow. So
nice.
But like, so that, I think that's another moment. Cause like T-Pain, that when he released that song and he had that 1 million downloads, it makes sense because he's T-Pain. He has this massive audience. He's all over the radio. And that's really hard to relate when you're starting out. It's like, well, I'm not T-Pain. I'm not famous. I don't make music. How am I supposed to ever do that? Mm-hmm. So when I met this guy in Iowa who's, it was like, he did this. I can do this too. It's possible. And it got over like a lot of mental barriers and gave me encouragement. Now, it doesn't mean the next day I was able to do it, but I was now working with the belief, which I think is a big mindset that people lose track of. And so like your point about getting mentorship or finding other people that are trying to do what you do, but are doing at a much higher scale and level, man, try to have those conversations with those people. And they may not tell you something like a specific tactic, but just by having a conversation and listening to how they talk, what they're doing, what's their day like, I learned a lot just by being around him.
So good. So good. So you talk about, spending money to then get leads. My question to you is like, is there ever a diminishing margin of return where you're spending 20 grand a day and you're making 20 or 30,000, right? A day. I don't know, whatever the thing. Is there ever a point where like, oh, you could spend $2 million a day if you wanted to make 3 million? Like when is like, okay, you haven't talked to me.
Great question. I can say that I have never reached that point yet of where I'm spending the most I can and I'm getting the most out of it. But I imagine if that day comes, I imagine there's a lot of businesses, only like the biggest brands in the world are maxing out online ads. And because they've maxed it out, now they're going over to TV and traditional where it's more about just top of mind. But for a small e-commerce store, for a small side hustle, whether you're selling candles, whether you have a coaching business, financial advice, whatever it is, I'm going to talk about 2 specific tactics that people can actually walk away with. One of them is my I call it the 100 QC test. I talk about it in my courses and stuff. It's basically a way that you can validate any idea, any product, any service, online, offline. And the concept is to get 100 qualified people to your landing page where you are presenting your offer. The offer doesn't mean take out your wallet and buy. The offer could be fill out a form, fill out a survey, sign up for an email. But whatever the offer is, you're trying to get 100 people to this page. And if 100 out of those 100 qualified people, not just anybody, qualified, if they don't take the action, then you're way off. The product's bad, the price is wrong, something is just way off and you need to revamp. But if you can get at least 1 or 2 people to basically buy it, sign up, here's my email and phone number, give me a call, then you are on the right track to scale something and invest more. So it's a way to test any idea. And what's crazy is technology today, it's never been easier to target exactly who you want. And every single niche or service. Facebook, we're all on Facebook or social media. Google, literally people still go to Google and say, I'm looking for a financial advisor. I am looking to buy a leather sofa. They're literally saying what they want to buy and you can run an ad on that. So the technology, it's never been easier. Now it's just about, is your offer the right way? And then another way, this is more of a philosophy on running
out of
ads.
Those 100
go ahead.
QC test, how many should have bought those? I'm sorry, I just want to go over that quick.
I'd say at a bare minimum, 1 person needs to convert. 2 people to convert, it would mean that you're on the right track. And basically, so I'm every day I launch around 20 new campaigns. I'm a massive affiliate marketer, and it's not just me. I have a full-time 4 people. And so we're launching these campaigns every single day. And so we're running a lot of 100 QC tests. And the cost to test that idea probably costs, if every click costs $1, it's going to cost me $100 to know if this has legs or not. But yeah, out of those 100 people drive in, at least 1 or 2 people should take the action.
So if you get 5 people that take you up on that, winner, chicken dinner, Yahtzee.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. Now, the other point you mentioned is like, what about the profit? What about the profit and the money? And I think at the beginning, it's hard to hit a home run on day 1, week 1. But so at the beginning, you're just trying to measure, does it have legs? And then it goes to when you start scaling it, you have to measure your ROI. You want to know how much money's coming in, how much you're getting out. But the one thing I'll mention, this is a philosophy that I run. I'm super aggressive. All my businesses are based off a value ladder system. I'm running an ad for them to basically take out their wallet and buy, which is the biggest action of trust online. Mm-hmm. And if they can do that, I don't care. I'm actually trying to just break even. That's how aggressive I am. I'm spending to get new people. If they break even on the first sale, that is success in my mind, because I know through the back end of my businesses, they're going to get they might buy again, or they're going to upsell, or they're going to get the high ticket along the road. So a lot of businesses are trying to make a profit on the first sale. But if you're planning on being in business for the next 5-10 years, your mindset should be try to run ads, get customers, and your profit comes from the second, third, fourth sale if you have a good business.
Yeah, I want to touch on this right now. So we've been talking a lot on the podcast about the value ladder. We actually have a free download for you from our website if you want to know more about that. www.uncommonwealth.com/gifts. It's 7 ways to launch a business, or 7 steps to launch a business. The value ladder is in there. Highly recommend that. We're approaching our business that way. And a lot of our business owner clients, we're imploring them to develop one immediately. So can't echo that enough. I totally agree with you. And I think we've wanted to have someone on like yourself that's having success online, YouTube, e-commerce, all these things. But there's a lot of bad, unsavory people in this business. And I think you're like a breath of fresh air, where you're not saying you want to upsell someone just to sell them something else, but like you are creating quality products. You have character, morals, ethics, and you're doing real valuable business and giving real tangible information because you've done it. You've paved the path. You've paid the price. You've stayed in it. And so that's how we're approaching our business too. And it's fascinating to me is because like we have to figure this out as business owners and entrepreneurs. And COVID-19 to me is like proof of that. And we're trying to finish our book right now, our first book, which will be one of our main, first products that we're actually going to sell and not give away. And this is very complicated. Digitizing your business or productizing your different business into different packages so that people can get to know you, but you're not just giving everything away for free. It is very complicated. And I think you lay it out in a really natural and easy way to like grab onto. So I'm going to like cut to the end. We don't have to end this, but you have an online course that you're kind of promoting on this podcast. And I actually took it. I went through the whole thing and it's brilliant.
Was it about how to pop and lock? Please say yes. Please say yes.
I definitely need more dance moves. If any of you have seen me dance, that's true. So, but no, this is an online course to kind of help you go from 0 to 60 of like, how do I make money online? What are the main ways? What would be a good fit for me? What's the risk? You really lay it out in a really approachable way. It's so easy to understand. And I think as someone like Philip and I, and he kind of alluded to it, we've approached our business more from the traditional sense as financial advisors. And now we're trying to shift into kind of this digital age and this value ladder. And I was just like, it's such a big pool to learn, and it's complicated if you don't really understand the technology and you're short on time. And so can you walk listeners through kind of like the one thing in the course you kind of talk about is how you went from, and what you use for most of your businesses, how you went from like blogging to affiliate, and kind of how you start stacking that into actual monetization of a passion or a niche. I just thought that was really brilliant.
Yeah, definitely. So right now, if you want to start a side hustle, everyone has different situations. Some may have some cash that they can invest. That's great. That means you can run ads and get results faster. Although I would admit, if you're just starting out, if you're going to run ads for the first time, you're probably going to lose it all. Then the other way is to create content organically. And this is, I think, the entry point for so many people, because if you have an extra hour every single day and you want to start to build a side hustle, you can actually invest that hour into creating content for a niche, fly fishing, chess, whatever, and start building a brand that years from now, if you're consistent, could be the number one dominator in a niche. And you can do that with just your time in creating content. Content is video, it's blogging, it's email, it's social media posts, it's photos. It's such a low point of risk to do if you want to try a side hustle. So I think, every side hustle and every stream of revenue is completely different. If you ask the question, how do you make money from this? If you're dominating a niche, a lot of people try to gravitate towards sponsorships and endorsements. That is super valid, but you need an audience, and the audience is not going to come for that's a long-term play. If you want a short-term play, then start building an audience, build an email list. Once you have 1,000 emails, I don't know why fly fishing came apart, but let's say you've got 1,000 fly fishers, that's enough people where you could send one email and promote a new rod or fishing backpack or whatever, pants. And you can send an email to those people, and they could potentially, if you're doing a good job and they trust you, they'll go and they'll buy that product. And an affiliate, they could use an affiliate link, which is basically a way to be 100% commission sales woman or man for this backpack. And let's say out of the 1,000 people, 100 people click, and then 5 people buy. It's a $100 backpack. And you make $10, 10% commission on the backpack. So one email, you just made $50. And imagine you have an email every day or once a week. Then that's where your numbers start to stack up. But it goes back to, how do you get started? Well, the easiest thing you could do is build a blog, build a website, and start creating content. There's different strategies and tactics, and that you can spend hours learning online. But all I try to measure and care about is making daily progress. So start with one blog a day. If that's too much, start with one blog every 2 days, and you basically start compounding this library. And before you even get to a point of scaling, like this is exactly how I built my first YouTube business. I just was focused. I was creating 2 tutorials every single day. Today, I have over 300 tutorials. I think I still teach around like 5,000 to 10,000 people a day how to dance.
Jeez.
Now it's unfortunate for these people because they're learning from a 22-year-old Adrian, and then they're like, oh man, this guy's all old now. But all that content that compounded over time, if you still search how to dance the robot online, I still have the #1 site. My sales are way down because I don't focus on it anymore, but still brings in like around $1,000 passively. And that's the power of content that delivers value, that's evergreen. It's on the internet forever until another dancer comes and takes me out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, thanks.
So I want to ask you this quick. Let's say, I think I have two things here. One, I want to go back to, you said the 100 QC tests, then you had another idea. So I want you to remember that. But let's say and I'm speaking specifically for Uncommon Wealth and Brian and I can't even tell you how many articles, brother, a lot, blogs that I don't know if anybody has ever read, for the record. Maybe 3 people, and my mother and Brian's mother is one of them. So whoever that other one is,
shout out.
what would you say to us? We got content for days, brother. Now we're probably not going to be able to shoot videos as fast as every day, to be honest, but I think we have a pretty good, we're there with blogs.
That's awesome. This right here is a specific takeaway for everyone that has a business, because even large businesses do not have this. And it's not that content goes to waste, but the most powerful thing online is scale. We're running ads. What your content does is it drives people. But in order to scale and take you to the next level, you have to have infrastructure. Every single platform online and search engine has a base code that allows the people on your website to collect data. So this code, completely free, and it needs to be installed on every single page of your website. I actually had a friend of mine who sent me a text this morning. He has a solar company, and he says, "Hey, I'm running ads on Facebook. I have a $15 a day budget, and I'm trying to get leads for my solar company, and it's not working." He's a friend of mine, and I was like, "Okay, let me check it out." I went to his website, and he didn't have any codes for Facebook or anything. I mean, he has Google Analytics, but Google Analytics doesn't collect data in the way you need it to scale. And so after talking to him, I basically told him, I was like, you got to go back to the beginning and set up the infrastructure. And then when people hit that landing page, that data can basically compound, and that's going to be your biggest tool to go out and scale. So you can still create right now. I don't know if you guys have that infrastructure. You guys need to set that up so it starts collecting that data. And then when you're ready to launch an ad, you have 10,000 data points of people who've already been consuming read one blog, 10 blogs, who are fans of you, listen to your podcast. And now you have your first offer, that book, and they're all ready. They're waiting for you to make an offer, and the audience has been built. It's like having an email list, but without a cap on it. You can reach as many people that are qualified. So that is a specific technical advice. Go to your website right now if you have one and see if you have all the infrastructure. Google has one. LinkedIn has infrastructure. Facebook has one. Ask those questions, because just by having that, installing it today, that means every day moving forward, that data is starting to build.
And so once you get that data and you get a good capture of kind of the demographics that are coming in, then that's when you can launch a very specific email or let's say marketing thing to those people outside of the network, right? So it's just like a picture of who's really conceptually eating my data or taking in my content, and then taking that and then going out and be specific on who you market to. Am I right on that, or am I crazy? Okay.
No, that's spot on. I think the very fundamental marketing campaign that should always be running is called a retargeting campaign. So anyone that's been to your website in the last 30 days, you should always have an ad running towards those people, because they just visited your website. They're top of mind, and you can present them with an offer, or at a minimum, collect their email so then you can capture the lead. It's easier to do that it's always easier to do that. And it's always way more cost effective than to try to convert someone who has no idea who you are. Why not just go, you probably you're sitting on a massive data pile of people that have already watched your blog. You just haven't presented an offer in a way that they can take action on it yet.
That's true. That's true. It's good. It's good.
The other thing, I think, things just progress so quickly. And I think sometimes, we're taught as business owners, or you hear just, we got to spend money on marketing. But this is what we're talking about is much deeper than marketing. It's really like the next generation. And even I think our parents, our moms are consuming our content online. But this is like how people are learning. This is a deeper thing than just buying and selling. Like, people are educating themselves in a new way. And if you as a business aren't creating content to educate the people that could potentially be customers, you're missing just a ton of opportunity. Would you agree with that, or kind of shed light on that? What your thought is?
Yeah, it's, the shift towards data-driven algorithmic marketing is a shift that happened really fast. And so traditional marketing agencies that could just place this stuff on billboards and TVs, a lot of them, instead of taking the time to learn or paying people the right talent to do it, they basically didn't want to go out of business. So then they started offering services that they don't know how to do. And a lot of businesses that don't understand digital, instead of taking the time to truly test and learn, they just write it off. And they're missing out on a massive opportunity. Right now, specifically, TikTok, as much as people want to joke about it, I just passed 100,000 followers yesterday, and I've created business content, and I've gotten high ticket leads. I just had my first coaching lead from TikTok, and it's $2,000 a month. And then I've had one marketing agency client come. That's $5,000 a month. They're a vegan supplement. And then I'm promoting a course on there, and I've probably sold over $30,000 from TikTok. And
Jeez.
so like I could have done the same thing like everyone else right now, because it sounds, TikTok's a bunch of girls in crop tops dancing. No, I tested and tried. And if it didn't work, at least I would say I tried it all and it doesn't work. And that's what a lot of businesses do. They don't really test it and try, and they just write it off, they're missing out on these massive opportunities. Because internet, I have never come across any niche where online marketing does not work. And I have done marketing through my agency, like trucking insurance. I've done I'm in most of my clients are credit unions. And so the financial niche, where there's a lot of red tape. I've done marketing for lawyers, and of course fun ones too, where they do make sense, like, food products and stuff. But like every single business can make it work if you test, or as long as you can say you tried and it didn't work, then at least you can say that, but don't just write it off,
Well, one of the other things I think is important to touch on, because a lot of people hear this stuff, Adrian, and they're like, well, I don't want to be in front of people. I don't want to have to make a video every day. I'm not wired the way you are. This won't work for me. Could you shed light on the fact that some of these companies that you own, like no one would even know that you own it or that you're affiliated with it, and you've set it up to be that way? Can you walk our listeners through how that kind of works, or what that opportunity is like?
Yeah. So online, you can create a personal brand. That's basically what I've been doing now recently in business for the last 6 months. Or you can create a brand that's really it's not a personal brand. It's an actual brand you can create. Like you can create a blog on Uncommon Wealth. Like you guys made the conscious decision that you guys are the faces of Uncommon Wealth. But Uncommon Wealth, you guys could have easily created this blog and created this content without being your faces on it. Let's say it could be this massive
movement,
financial, exactly, a financial news media. That's definitely a route. It could still be that way. You guys could pivot. So the internet allows you to create a brand. It does not have to be personal. Now, I've even had people say like, well, I want to be a YouTuber, but I don't like being on camera. You could still be a YouTuber. There's so many YouTube accounts that do product reviews, or that do like compilation reviews. Or like even the guy who makes those funny lip sync videos where they take like NFL players and they lip sync him. His face isn't on the videos, and that's a massive channel. So you don't have to be a face on it if you don't want to.
Yeah, I think that's a huge point. We run into that as we're working or coaching with entrepreneurs, and they're just like, oh, well, that wouldn't work for me. And they kind of just close their mind off totally to it. And I'm just like, you don't have to do it that way. And to close yourself off to the internet is a huge mistake, in my opinion, especially with what we just went through with COVID-19. I mean, I was kind of in this last several weeks. I was just like, oh my gosh, how much more I wish we would have invested on the front end, to have 4 or 5 more digital products right now, just to reach more people and help more people too. And I think that's where you're at. You're getting so much feedback of like, wow, I need this and I need it right now. How do I go from 0 to 60? So can we talk about your course a little bit, or, whatever you want to talk about? I kind of mentioned it, but I just think it's the way you laid out the course was just so approachable to like entrepreneurs, business owners, or people kind of looking to get into business. It's a very easy way to get started without having to like you're not launching a franchise or something like that. It's very, very step by step.
Yeah. I wanted to create a course that's like the best intro for someone who has the passion, has a little bit of time or a little bit of money, and wants to get started, but they don't know which one to do. Maybe they've done some research and they looked up like, hey, how do you create a store on Etsy? Or what's this Amazon FBA thing? Or something more difficult like drop shipping or affiliate marketing. So it actually walks through my personal top 10 legitimate side hustles. I can say I've tried them all. They're legit. I'll mention right now, there's a lot of side hustles out there. And there's a lot that I avoid personally too. And I talk about this in my course, a way to measure and basically almost like a gut or personality quiz if this is the right one for you. Because like my wife, she talks about how MLMs, multi-level marketing, those companies that basically recruit people and you build underneath you and you sell.
We know about them. We know about them here at Uncommon Wealth.
Oh, you do?
I can't wait to hear what your wife thinks about them. Keep going.
Well, oh gosh, hopefully I'm not. No, she was saying is that like It Works, for example, is this one that she went to a party. She didn't know it was an It Works party. And so she was like blinded by it, showed up, and then she was like explaining how they basically put this plastic wrap on her stomach. And after 15 minutes, she would lose weight or something.
Oh, dear.
And like, it's those trickery things like that I just don't think are good. If you have to sell your family and friends, you don't have a real business. And that's what a lot of MLMs do. I talk about like, there's a lot of
sickening. I'm totally his wife. It makes me want to vomit. And there's other people that like them. Like, I don't know who else would like them on this call, but
no. So I talk about like how to measure so you avoid things like that and you don't get trapped. Or
don't
like
do it.
Cryptocurrency, day trading, I could go off of all these bad things, but so but like people like the sucky thing is there's a lot of dark people on the internet that will like sell you on your hopes and dreams, and then you try something that's just so risky. So it's a walkthrough of that, and basically out of the 10 side hustles, 6 of them you don't need any money to get started. You just need time. You need you're putting in your sweat equity, and then if you do have some cash, there's out of the 4, there's 4 of them where like you could start learning how to run ads and build or scale. And there's like to sell on Amazon, for example, that's the most expensive one that I teach or just give an intro to is like Amazon. You need to buy a bulk amount of inventory of product. Now there's a whole process to figure out what to put on Amazon and things like that, but that costs money. You can't get around that. You have to buy it. So a lot of people, some people don't have that money, so that's not the best one to start, but it basically gives a good variety. But yeah, what's funny is I do marketing for clients and stuff. And when I was starting to run ads and scale my side hustles, a lot of it was just based to learn better and get better at ads. So I do it for clients. I know I don't screw it up. And now it's like, I feel like a mad scientist. I've tried all these things and I'm running, and I didn't know it could scale to this big, and I don't know how much bigger it can get, but I think it's just crazy having a record month right now. So it's just insane. The opportunity is there for anyone who has the time or a little cash or one or the other to get started. There's definitely good ways you can spend your time if you don't want to be just binging through Netflix during quarantine this whole time.
So cool. So Adrian, how do our listeners hear more about you or reach out to you? What's your contact information?
Awesome. Yeah. AdrianBrambila.com is my personal brand website. And if there's links in there for everything, my mini courses, social media links. Right now I'm probably posting the most on TikTok and Instagram. And then my agency link is on there too. But that'd be the place. Feel free to reach out for any questions, tips. I won't respond immediately, but I will respond to every email. I try to make that effort at least.
Yeah. And we're going to have in the show notes of this, the link to the course that we talked about. And I truly encourage you, if you are an entrepreneur, business owner, or thinking, how do I make money from something I'm passionate about? I highly encourage you to take this course. I took it. I took the whole thing. It was invaluable, well worth the money. And I think you're going to be refreshed by Adrian's just personality and acumen. He's put in the work. And so thank you so much, Adrian, for being part of the show and sharing your perspective and your, just the effort you've put in over the last decade. It definitely comes through. And I definitely want to have you on the show again.
Cool. I would love to. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Adrian. Appreciate it, man.
That's all for this episode of the Uncommon Life Project, brought to you by Uncommon Wealth Partners. Be sure to visit uncommonwealth.com to learn more about our services. Don't miss an episode as we introduce you to inspiring people who are actively pursuing an uncommon life.